Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching the Breakfast Show on RTV International. As we promised earlier, we shall be talking in this segment of the show about Donald Trump and the new U.S. president coming back to the presidency, and the swearing yesterday that took place yesterday, and him taking over the White House. And in this regard, we're very delighted to have with us over the phone Dr. Mohamed Abou Zeid, professor at the American University in Cairo. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Doctor. We have the pleasure to have you with us over the phone, and talking about Donald Trump and his presidency, and coming back to the White House after he lost against Joe Biden in the previous elections. How do you think? What are the factors that actually contributed to his winning after he lost before to Joe Biden, against Joe Biden?
Actually, several factors contributed to his winning in this election. One of them is the hesitation and the uncertainty that was in the Democratic campaign prior to this election, because people were not happy with Biden, his age, his flaws here and there, and the name that his former Kamala Harris will take over as candidate. This hesitation in itself gave good kind of platform for Trump to strengthen his campaign. Also, the Democratic Party itself and his supporters were not as unified in their election, in their campaign, as the Democratic one. Add to that the extreme dissatisfaction by the American people of the increasing prices, the inflation, because I always say, and I think the viewers know that very well, that in America, elections is always about economy, always about prices, always about the comfort of the layman in the streets, about their future, health care and so on. So these are some of the main factors that led to that. It's unfair and untrue to think that it's because any political external situations. It's all internal matters that usually judge and govern the results of the American elections.
How was he actually able to win back the people after he was actually he had a lot of law cases against him? How did he win the people back?
Again, by the way, he himself, until today, he does not believe that he lost that election to Joe Biden.
Yes.
I don't think he thinks this way. He even publicly announced that. But also, there has been a lot of sympathy with him with the one or the second trials of his assassination. People got a bit emotional about this and about the fact, there must be something that people don't want him there. So that made him appear as the strong man who came out with his ear bleeding, cheering the crowd and talking that I'm going to continue raising his hand for his supporters in Pennsylvania, if you remember that a few months ago. So that in itself also another personal message for his supporters. Last but not least, of course, there are 6 or 7 swing states that usually govern the presidential elections in the modern era. And Pennsylvania, by the way, is one of them, Michigan, North Dakota, several actually. And he ended up winning all of them, these swings, because he made repeated visits to these states, assuring them about their future and America will be great again, trying to make America great again.
Yes,
so these are the circumstances that led to this win, and let's not forget the great support he got from some notable businessmen in the community. That also adds to his portfolio as an incoming president.
Okay, and actually in his speech yesterday, he said our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free. And America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. How do you see Trump's vision to reshape, how he could actually reshape the future of the United States?
Yes, it's a very good question, actually. As you and the viewers may have noticed, yesterday his speech was untypical, unconventional for inauguration or inaugural speech. Usually people talk about the nation, the general strategy, the vision of the nation, but he went into some details and some actions. By the way, some of these actions he already took.
More than 100 orders.
Yes, yes. You're very right, and some of these actions already have been displayed and signed, their executive orders, as you just said. This usually kind of speech comes in the State of the Union, not in an inaugural speech. But again, he wanted to show his supporters to the world that he was serious about what he promised, and he's going to deliver what he promised, and he managed, and he's managing to do that. Many people actually were a bit surprised about the very details, the too much details that have been delivered in this speech, particularly ones that could be offending to his previous President Biden, who was just sitting next to him when he was delivering that speech, like, we were not doing well, we are going to come back from people will start respecting us again. We're not going to do these mistakes again. Usually you don't do these things in inaugural speech, but he wanted to come with this image to the people, and he did it. And some criticism, but I think he went on with that.
Yes, actually one of the orders that he talked about yesterday was leaving the World Health Organization with actually the U.S. being the biggest financial backer to the United Nations Health Agency. How do you see this order affecting the organization and its performance as well?
Let's be clear about this. These are political messages. I would guess some of these orders will not be fully implemented. But why would he say them? To put some pressure on some of these organizations to follow a certain path for America. I'll give you an example. There is one serious thing he said, together with this important example you gave us, about Panama, taking back the Panama Canal, because he's not happy that the Chinese are running it, as he says, and a lot of fees and costs for the American ships to pass through. What could be the end of this? The end of this, in my view, will be that the Panama Canal will stay with Canada, but some exemptions, for example, or reduction in the cost for the American ships. And in that way, he appeared, okay, you see, my pressure led to this and this and that. So some of these things, the deportation of the many millions who live in America, this is a task impossible, but if he could manage to do that for few of them, or at least stop the inflow, then it will appear as a success. So again, some of these things will be implemented, some of these things will not be fully implemented, but it will result in some popularity and a testament to his efficiency as a president.
Yes, and another important order that he always talks about is the rule of immigration. Actually, back in his previous presidency period, he claimed that he should not allow illegal immigrants to U.S. and actually the percentage went down during his presidency period. And yesterday also he talked about immigration and stressed on the borders with Mexico, and that he will actually put U.S. military troops to supervise the borders and ban the illegal settlers. How do you see this step?
Well, the rule of immigration and having people, this is a very serious one. But at least, to my knowledge, he signed already the decree.
Yes.
Those who are born in the U.S. are not going to be no longer called American just by birth. I think he signed that already. I'm not sure whether that will be approved by the Congress or whether it's an executive order. I'm not sure how well that will be implemented, if it will be implemented. But he's serious about those things. He said yesterday, along the same lines, emergency call for the military to exist on the southern border with Mexico, and again to stop the immigration. I want to share with you my opinion about this matter, humbly speaking.
Please.
My opinion about this matter is that he will not deport all or the majority of the illegal immigrants inside the U.S., but he will manage to stop by a good deal their inflow. He will control the presence of the entrance of the immigrants in general, legal and illegal, more to the U.S. As a matter of fact, some of the viewers may know that students were having vacation in the winter, after the Christmas and the New Year, and many of them rushed back to go from their countries to the U.S. before the inauguration of Trump, because they were in fear that they may not be able to enter the U.S. After that. So these are the kind of things or messages he likes to send. Let's just be also reasonable about something. I think after 1 week or 2 weeks, he will reason down, he will relax a little bit and start thinking more deeply about the strategic view about his presidency. The one important thing that the viewers and we all have to remember, he knows that he has no other second term. And that gives him more power than any other recent American president, because he can do things without calculating too much that I'm going to be running for another term or not.
Presidency, yes.
Yes.
And this is actually what he does. He's always controversial and unpredictable. And also we want to know more from you about his order also regarding, like everyone right now, the whole world is binding together or working together to actually ease or support the climate change crisis and work together to improve the situation. While Donald Trump yesterday actually talked about revoking a no-binding executive order that was signed by Joe Biden and aimed at making half of all new vehicles sold in 2030 electric.
Yes.
How do you see this?
First of all, personally speaking, I'm one of the promoters of the caution and the actions against climate change. So on a personal level, me and my colleagues and my students were very much upset to hear that the world taking some steps back in this direction. Also yesterday, he emphasized drilling oil and petroleum, and which again adds another layer of using the non-renewable energy and fossil fuel in this regard. My take on this, and let's not forget that America and the industrialized world are the main contributors to climate change, much more than the developing countries. So they have a responsibility towards the rest of the world, not only in front of the American people. So for that, I would say that the American people may want to or will have some kind of resistance for these actions.
Yes.
I think with time, and I'm talking about next few months, some of these actions will be overturned again, or at least put to still, because it will also weaken the American stand with close allies, particularly Europe in this regard.
And of course, we have to ask you this very important question of how do you see Trump policies can influence the Middle East?
I think Trump will, the way I've always thought of him, because I was very closely following his also first presidency, he deals with the Middle East more with the mind of a businessman. He will try, and he actually announced that publicly, to create some kind of balance between the various disagreeing parties while maintaining the American interest, of course, in my mind when I speak financially, but also otherwise in this regard. I'm one of the people who thinks that because of his pressure earlier, a few weeks ago or so, after he was elected, the release of the hostages took place. This deal wouldn't have taken place without Donald Trump getting into office yesterday and so on. Mm-hmm. So that's what's going to happen. But I think there's going to be some kind of stabilization because now, and let's also say that Trump had historically good relations with Egypt and with our president. That may help creating more balance and more fairness for the situation that has been a little bit out of control in the past 6-7 months in particular.
But not with Muslims, I think, because he, in his last presidency, he said that Muslims should be banned from entering the U.S.
This statement here later on regretted it. If he
yes.
articulated it in that way, he later
but
on...
it shows that he has some type of hatred towards Egyptians, or not Egyptians, towards Muslims in general.
I really cannot comment on this part
yes.
because I don't know whether that was a slip of a tongue or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But let's also realize that he has been blaming many other parties for things that are going wrong in the U.S., whether they yes. are Mexicans, whether they are from other countries. He has a bigger issue with the Chinese than with Arabs and with Muslims
course,
and with
yes.
the Middle East. He has a much bigger issue with the Chinese. That's the real thing in the horizon. What about Canada? When he says that I want to add Canada to the United States or annex it. So these are the kind of things that you shouldn't take it verbatim, mm-hmm. But you should think more about it. And let's be frank, many of the simple laymen in the street anywhere in the world would cheer and would be feeling good hearing some of these things, but from a political and practical point of view, this may not take place.
Yes, Dr. Mohamed Naguib Abou Zeid, a professor at the American University in Cairo, thank you so much for your valuable insights regarding the U.S. presidency and what's happening right now. Dear viewers, a short break and we'll be right back.